Good afternoon, dear students. In the previous session from the history section, we learned the rise of nationalism in Europe. Now, I would like to start the next chapter from the history section that is about nationalism in India. Nationalism in India. So, as you have seen, modern nationalism in European countries and in Europe, how actually the different European countries, especially the some of the states, are witness for emergence of the modern nation states. See here, the modern nationalism in Europe came to be associated with the formation of nation states. The formation of nation states, which in the present day we are actually looking the independent states or the modern states. And also, it meant a change in people's understanding of who they were and what defined their identity and sense of belonging. So now actually the people they were understanding of during this period, especially what we are studied in the first chapter in the nationalism in Europe. So there the people they were realized, the people they were understood of even who they were and also what defined their identity and sense of belonging. See, the new symbols and icons, new songs and ideas forged new links and redefined the boundaries of communities. So, these were all we observed in European countries. The emergence of the new symbols and the new icons and the new songs and hymns were composed by the nationalists, poets, and the ideas were forged new links also and redefined the boundaries of communities also. So, in most countries, the making of this new national identity it was a long process. So we all of you knows that in the most of the countries the process is there now. It's actually not only within a short time or within a 1 year, 2 year, no, not like that. The making of this new national identity, it was a long process in European countries. So how did this consciousness emerge in India? After studying the European countries, whether France, or whether Italy, whether Germany, whether Poland, whether Russia, whether Austria, whether Hungary, whether Balkan regions, whether Greece, whichever it may be. So all these, so these are all what in the most of the countries, the making of this the new national identity it was a long process. And how did this consciousness emerge in India that we have to think how it was this consciousness, this concept, these ideas, these national feelings amongst Indians emerged in our subcontinent. Of course, dear students, we all of you knows that before enter the British, Before 1947, it was divided into, the whole subcontinent, it was divided into, it was ruled by so many kings, rulers, chieftains, samantas, so on so things. There were uncountable princely states. And in the earliest period only, so many they were attacked also. Ghaznavis, Goris, Arab and Mongolians, including the Alexander. And afterwards, the Europeans, they were entered. And again they were ruled, especially the British, they were ruled hundreds and hundreds of years continuously. They were entered as a traders and they were become rulers in our country. So in India, as in Vietnam and many other colonies, the growth of modern nationalism is intimately connected to the anti-colonial movement. So the Europeans, they were made our subcontinent as their colonial state. As their colonial state. India, it was become completely, the subcontinent colonial state. So here, the growth of modern nationalism is intimately connected to the anti-colonial movement. The growth of, or the idea of modern nationalism. It's connected to the anti-colonial movement in our country. So here, people began discovering their unity in the process of their struggle with colonialism. So the people, in the subcontinent, they were began discovering their unity in the process of their struggle with colonialism. So the sense of being oppressed under colonialism provided a shared bond that tied many different groups together. This we have to think. So the sense of being oppressed, because India, even the present day also, it was one of the diverse country where we can see the various socio-religious communities, different groups, and even the different language speakers and those who are followed the different tradition, different culture, different food habit. It's one of the diverse country, and we all of you knows that even in the since the earliest period and even till we can observe that the practice of untouchability even in our country, the oppressed class people, depressed class people, those who are discriminated by, those who are completely neglected by upper class of the society. See, the sense of being oppressed. So under colonialism, that provided a shared bond that tied many different groups together. Then you can imagine. But dear students, each class and group felt that effects of colonialism different. See, all these are different class people, different caste people, different community people, different language speakers, different socio-religious groups. So they were all felt the effects of colonialism in a different way. So their experiences were varied. The same experience we cannot their experiences, and their feelings, and how they were understood about the concept of the new concept of especially the nation, nationalism, and country, modern state. So, all those things and their notions of freedom including. So, the notions of the freedom were not always the same. For example, the notion of the freedom, it was understood by and it was actually realized by in a different way, the different people in a different part of our subcontinent. So the people they were understood the concept of freedom in their own way. It's completely based on their circumstances, based on their limitations. So they were understood in their own way. They were not actually understood, and they were not actually their vision, their notions of freedoms. It was completely varied, not always in the same. So even though the Indian National Congress under Mahatma Gandhi tried to force all these groups together within one movement. We know, dear students, the role of the Indian National Congress in the freedom struggle. It's contributed a lot. The completely the Indian national movement, freedom for this freedom struggle, it was led by, it was guided by Indian National Congress. So, under the Mahatma Gandhi guidelines, under the leadership of the great personality of the world, Mahatma Gandhi, the Congress together. So they were trying to force these different groups within a one movement. But the unity did not emerge without conflict. The unity did not emerge without conflict. The main reason was the entire subcontinent, those who are lived during the time, even in the present days also, they were all belongs to different religions, different caste, different community, different subcaste. I hope it may not necessary to explain about our caste system in our subcontinent and the role of the caste, the role of the community, the role of the religion, and how its influence, how it's bifurcated, how it's oppressed. So here only the some of the class people they were affordable for some, and the maximum of the population in our country since the beginning they were neglected, they were depressed, they were oppressed by the upper class societies. And in this situation, how Indian National Congress under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi so try to unite and try to force all together, all different socio-religious groups within a one movement. It's really a, a very challengeable task. And even though dear students, they done, but the unity did not emerge without conflicts. Even among Indian National Congress members, amongst Indian National Congress members, amongst freedom strugglers, amongst Indian National, those who are led, there were a lot of disputes, conflicts, difference of opinion about the notion of freedom, how to gain independence against the British. all Indians or all subcontinent people, so they were not struggled or they were not fought in the same way. So this is what a biggest challenge for Indian national leaders to forge all these different socio-economic religious groups within a one moment. So dear students, in this chapter, we are not going to learn the entire Indian national movement. Just we are covering or we are studying only the few moments, only the few moments, only the few things. So especially we are going to learn from 1920s, not from the 1857 or not before or when the Europeans they were entered or when the others they were entered so many years back. No. So actually we are going to pick up from the 1920s and we are concentrating in this lesson on non-cooperation and civil disobedience movements. So I hope dear students it is clear about what we are going to learn in this chapter, especially so we are focusing on from 1920s and we are going to study the national, especially in this national movement. We are not going to cover the entire Indian national movement, just we are going to learn only the one or two events or movements, especially the non-cooperation and civil disobedience movements. So we will explore how the Congress sought to develop the national movement. So in this chapter, so we will explore how the Indian National Congress sought to develop the national movement and how different social groups participated in this national movement. The different social groups, the different economic, because all are not equal in even before 1947 during this time in the early 19th century. So there were a lot of difference economically, socially, religious, culture, and even the education status also. It's so different. So how under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhiji, the Indian National Congress sought to develop the national movement during this time. And also we are going to learn about how different social groups participated in the movement. And also we are going to learn about how nationalism captured the imagination of people. How the nationalism captured the imagination of people, because there were the different people, different notions, a different vision about the concept or the idea of nation or nationalism. So how this nationalism captured the imagination of people. So all those things, dear students, we are going to learn and cover in this chapter. Especially we are pick up from the 1920s and we are going to cover, we are going to learn only about non-cooperation movements and the civil disobedience movement. Getting these students. See, the Indian national movement of freedom struggle, it's a really the greatest history in the world. Being Indians, we must learn about history of our country to better understand and how we are gained the independence and how our ancestors they were led their life, to understand better all those things. Of course, So many they were used to say like this, we got independence like this, like this, like this, like this. Not like that, dear students. Whatever the scholars, the historians, especially the British historians, they were focused, whatever they were enclosed, whatever they were actually brought before the public, the maximum law. That was not the proper history of our country. So please, I request you all, please, once you can try to read in your lifetime the history of India. Especially, of course, if it is too difficult for you to cover the entire history of our country, at least please, being Indians, you must learn about the Indian national movement. The Indian national movement, Indian freedom struggles, how they were struggled, how they were sacrificed, how we gained independence, and how they were treated, and how we are living in the present days. So, we are living in the independent India means in this way by adopting the democratic system very freely. So, behind we should see that, behind we should see that the uncountable people's sacrifice. They were sacrificed a lot, their own life, their family, the entire relationship, completely they were sacrificing themselves for the nation, for our country. Anyhow, so please, dear students, in your lifetime, once you please try to read. Once again, I would like to request you to read about the Indian national movement. And in this chapter, already I told that we are going to learn about when Mahatma Gandhi was arrived from the South Africa, and afterwards how he was began and started his ideas, and how he was connected with the people and brought all, and how he was influenced, and how he was approached through the different policies. Even whatever the Gandhiji was used, the ideas, the concept, completely new for the entire world. So this interesting lesson we are going to learn in this, and the next class we are going to learn about the First World War, Khilafat and non-cooperation movement. Thank you. Have a nice day.